For most of the people who do not follow or have the slightest bit of interest in Formula One, hearing the name Schumacher will still mean Formula One in their heads. And even though Michael Schumacher has been out of the sport for a long time now, his son Mick Schumacher is in the midst of building a name for himself in the sport. But as we all now know, Mick's future in the sport is in doubt, as the young German driver has cut ties with Haas. So, what went so horribly wrong between Mick and Haas that the team felt the need to discard him from their ranks? And what are the chances we see Mick around the paddock in 2023? Well, let's talk about it. But before we do, consider subscribing to the channel so you don't miss out on our latest uploads. Now that's out of the way, let's get started. Even though Mick has Formula One coursing through his veins from the moment he was born, the fact of the matter is that Mick is still a baby in Formula One, with a lot yet to learn, and with growth comes mistakes. And in the sport of Formula One, any mistake can cost hundreds and millions of dollars. A fact Mick is aware of, as he has reportedly cost the team $3.2 million in damages this season alone. And this has become the deciding factor for the team to cut ties with Mick, said Haas team boss Guenther Steiner. I look back, because you have to look back, but you look forward. If these things happen next year again, does it hinder us to make progress? Yes, because with the budget cap, spending money like this is basically wasted because you cannot make the car go quicker. It's all about that. So I'm not saying he will crash next year's cars, but he crashed 3 this year. It happened because he was the first time in a decent car, because last year's car wasn't good, and he had to fight with the best of the best now. So he took more risk, obviously, and it didn't pay off. Maybe it would have been his last crash this year and he will never crash again. I don't know that, and he will not know that now, at least for a year. But in the end, we didn't want to take the risk, and we said we'll take somebody who knows how not to do that so we can focus when we do our budget. This is the money we will spend on development and not put it there just for crashes if they happen. As mentioned earlier, the Schumacher name is synonymous with Formula One, and with that comes pressure from the outside world, which Sky Sports F1 pundit Martin Brundle believes played a role in the team's decision. I think the team were fed up of Mick's entourage and all the pressures that came with that, said Brundle. One of those pressures came from his uncle Ralf Schumacher, who himself is both a former F1 driver and a pundit. Ralf has been on for weeks criticizing how Steiner has been managing his nephew. Steiner, on the other hand, would refute any suggestions that the German media got to him and said that they are entitled to their own opinions. No, he told the media, including Planet F1, I'm completely, whatever media, not just the German ones, I don't want to single them out because then they get upset again, you know? We don't single out anybody here. You should know that. The media has got their opinion. They can be free to have their opinion, and we need to do a job here for Haas F1, and that is what we do. But Steiner would admit, though, that he felt a different kind of pressure. Pressure coming from his owner, Gene Haas, and the possibility of Haas F1 exiting from the sport. If I said I didn't feel any pressure, that would be a complete lie, he said. As Mick felt it, so do we. First and foremost, of course, it's about our team. That belongs to Mr. Haas, and I have to work for him, so I can't work for everyone else. And for me, Mick is just Mick. I respect the Schumacher name, but you can't score points with me. And as Mick exits from Haas, journeyman Nico Hülkenberg comes in. And Nico would come in hot and ready as he would say to the media that he has very little sympathy for taking Mick's seat at Haas. That's natural in F1. We all fight for our careers, for the same piece of tarmac. That's just how F1 is, and ultimately the driver, when he's racing, he has to convince the team with performance. And if that's not the case, the team is going to change. Same with engineers, with all personnel. And as for Mick, his uncle Ralph would share what Mick's plans are for the future and say to the media, Mick is aiming for a comeback in a regular cockpit. As an intermediate step, a commitment as a test and reserve driver at Mercedes is indicated. For Mick, this would definitely be a sensible step because he can work with a team that has a lot of experience and can help Mick move forward. The processes at Haas and Mercedes are different, and that's something Mick can benefit from. For him, it would definitely be important to work with a team like Mercedes, to do simulator work, to learn from Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, who have both won races, or in the case of Hamilton, world championships. That would be an incredible wealth of experience that Mick can get there. Hamilton is now so advanced in age that he passes on a lot to these young drivers. All in all, it would be unbelievable for Mick to work with these two drivers and with such a team, especially because they want him. It can be hardly said more clearly, as Toto Wolff did. This is also a new experience for Mick after such a year, finally being in a team that stands behind him. Reports from his camp would also say that Mick plans on training as usual over the winter break, despite not having a job for 2023. I wouldn't say I feel like I'm pole position to be called up, but I do feel confident that I'll be able to put something in line for me where I feel comfortable, Schumacher said. I've shown my pace, and I know a lot of the people in the paddock are happy about how I've developed, so I'm sure that I'll be able to talk to a great deal of teams. Mick has been heavily linked to Mercedes these past few weeks to be a reserve driver for the Silver Arrows next season. Given that he also has left the Ferrari Driver Academy, a move to Mercedes will put him in the right network to either compete in F1 for the team or elsewhere. And to add on to that, as we can all remember, his father Michael Schumacher did the same exact move when he signed with Mercedes in 2010. A memory that Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff points out as to why the Schumacher name belongs to Mercedes, and a major reason for Mick as well to consider a move to the Brackley-based team. My dad did the switch from Ferrari to Mercedes, said Mick. I don't see a reason why not right now to do the same. But again, as I said earlier this week, I have time now. So I'll consider all the options that I have to, then hopefully make the right decision for me. It's definitely very humbling to hear what Mercedes and especially Toto says about me. And there you have it, guys. So, was Haas wrong for giving up on Mick too soon? And will the Schumacher name finally come back to Mercedes in 2023? Let us know in the comments section below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't.